Thank you, Chairman Hess, Chairman McGann, members of the committee. Just wanted to share briefly my thoughts regarding Amtrak and the continuation of rail service through my legislative district, better known as the Pennsylvanian. The 81st district is the 9th largest district. To say that we're rural is an understatement. I think by very definition, we are the definition of rural. As I mentioned, it's the 9th largest, not to be confused with the chairman's district, which is the 8th largest. It provides for a whole different dynamic when it comes to public transportation in a rural area. Daily passenger rail service has been available in the counties that I serve, Huntington, Blair, and Mifflin, for well over 160 years. And it is our only form of public transportation at this point in Huntington County, anyhow. Of the 200,000 plus passengers during the course of a given year, 5,837 are riding to and from Huntington, 3,108 from Tyrone, both in my legislative district. But then within a few miles, literally just a couple miles of my boundary lines, we have 26,978 riding from Altoona and 8,000 from Lewistown, which I'm sure Representative Benninghoff can address later. Two of the largest passenger groups coming out of Huntington are students from Juniata College. The college has a huge international student body, more so per capita than in any other private school that we have in Pennsylvania for similar size. Huge overseas. Their only way to get to and from Huntington is rail service. Beyond the international student body, Juniata attracts a large number of students from major northeastern cities, New York, Boston, Philadelphia, DC. Many times their families as well, because they're living in urban markets, do not have a car, and they're reliant on Amtrak to get to and from Huntington. Not to mention the freshman class, which oftentimes is prohibited from having a car, and it is Huntington, and these are college students, so oftentimes they do want to get away, whether it's to Philly or New York or do something fun for a break, and it's important for them. One of the other largest groups is that uses Amtrak is we have 2 state prisons in Huntington, and when you've done your time and you're released, the easiest way to get you out of the area, not that we don't want you to stay, is to rely heavily on the Amtrak system. So the Department of Corrections employees will drop the newly released individuals off at the train station and wish them a merry journey. Oftentimes, these individuals are coming from major cities in Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh, Harrisburg, Philadelphia, and they many times do not have family that are able to come up and pick them up. So it would be another costly situation for corrections to then try and instead of just turning them out at the gate with no taxi service or anything in Huntington, to try and get them to a bus facility, whether Greyhound or Megabus or one of the others that are available, that's not readily close by. We also have our elderly that, for medical reasons, are really dependent on Amtrak service to get to facilities in Philadelphia or in between. We have some great hospitals, but we are limited with what we can do. This is a very daunting task for many of our elderly to just pick up and drive to a major urban market and try and meander and be hours away and, you know, try and leave in time that they had to make sure that there's no travel difficulties, rush hour, what have you. The train allows them to get there in a timely fashion and as well rest on the way back. Our business community, another critical link. We waste a lot of employee hours driving to and from, being able to pick people up at an airport that isn't all that close. And many of the businessmen and women prefer to ride the Amtrak line to Huntington because from a profitability margin, they can get a whole lot more done on the train than what they can driving the several hours that they would be coming in to. So those are just a few of the groups. We also having, tourism is huge in Huntington County. With Racetown Lake, we now have a world-renowned bike track. We have bikers coming in from across the planet, and Amtrak is one of the best ways to do that. If you're on a bike, you're not going to be riding there from on the highway system more often than not. And it's a growing area as well as far as tourism goes with Racetown and some of our other touristic venues. Now, I'm sure you'll hear all sorts of things about, you know, to drive from Harrisburg to Pittsburgh, it's going to take you an hour longer to take the train. Well, that's assuming that you're going from Harrisburg to Pittsburgh. If I was going to Harrisburg to Pittsburgh, I probably wouldn't take the train. But if I live in Huntington and I need to get on the train, yeah, it's going to be faster. If I live in Lewistown or Altoona or what have you. I'm hopeful that one day that we could add an additional line. I think it would be more practical for us because right now the times are not conducive. With one stop east and one stop west, you can't come to and from unless you just happen to hit pay dirt that day and your meeting is in between the two. So with that, I will close my remarks, and if anyone has any questions.
Thank you, Representative Fleck. Any questions, any of the members? If not, I may make a comment on one thing you did say with the Juniata College. And it's very, very important to the students and the parents of Juniata College, because I've had, although Juniata College is not in my district, I represent a small portion of the western corner of Huntington County, which I share with Representative Fleck. And I've had a lot of letters, I'm sure, that they've copied. You wanted also, Representative, concerning the importance of that for them to being able to travel to from Huntington to see their children and their children to be able to come home. To those who are not afford to have a car and afford to travel back and forth, this is a very valuable service to them. And it would be a very, very disservice if they didn't have this type of transportation, being that there isn't any other type of transportation in Huntington County other than the rail service. And I appreciate what all those involved have done to try to help us in the rural community to provide this service to the people of Pennsylvania and then the people of our districts. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, we had a rally in Huntington last month, and I think we had 150, 175 people show up. I was pleasantly surprised. I really didn't see some of the groups, like the elderly with the medical situations and such, that I was surprised to see there that I never thought of. But it is vitally important. I know Mifflin County had a rally as well, and with similar numbers.
Being there, I remember that was very cold.
Very cold.
Very cold, and I picked up a terrible cold sitting on those metal chairs for 2 hours with the wind blowing from the river. But it was all worthwhile being able to get this accomplished, and I just want to commend those people who all were involved. And there was many people involved in this, the secretary and the governor and so forth, for making this come about. And I just hope that we can just keep improving upon it over the years. I think one question. I think Representative Marcico has a question.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. You mentioned that there's from Huntington to there's a lot of international students and business folks that probably travel from the Harrisburg Airport to Huntington. Mm-hmm. What is the approximate time and also the cost of that, like one way? Do you know?
Oh, you asked me too quick. Usually I ride the train from here in Harrisburg if I'm going someplace, and it's probably to Philadelphia. Yeah. And I want to say $52 round trip. I'm sure someone here knows. It's okay. Quite.
That's about an hour and a half or so, do you know? Just out of curiosity.
Probably a little bit longer. I mean, you're stopping in Lewistown.
I think it's $32.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And one other thing that I didn't make mention of, it's, I've had a lot of questions whether we should be subsidizing rail service, and quite frankly, we subsidize our airports, our ports, many other things. This literally keeps thousands and thousands of cars off the highway system. I think for the bang for the buck, it's well worth the effort. Not that I don't want people buying gas and that comes back in liquid fuels for our roads, but it's same thing. If it's moving people and goods and market to and from commerce. Thank you.